You got to be ready at all times for breaking news. That's why you hit the alert at the bottom of the screen on Warchant TV, because of moments like this. He's Matt Lasser, recruiting reporter, portal reporter, team reporter for Warchant.com. My name is Tom Lang, and here we are talking about a four-star defensive lineman that has said yes to Florida State. That is four-star defensive lineman Tico Crittendon, who has given the Noles a thumbs up and committed Tuesday night just around 8 p.m. Matt, in the grand scheme of things here, I know that Michael Langston put in an RPM pick over the weekend for Tico, but in the grand scheme from the recruiting process, this one kind of came out of nowhere. Can you explain how Florida State got better today with a four-star defensive lineman?
Yeah, it definitely got better, and it's good to see a blue chip commit, right? I know all the 3 stars are good, and it's in-house evaluation that matters more, but for us fans on the side of not really knowing evaluation and stuff like that, it's good to see a 4-star get in the fold at this position, right? So in general, yeah, came about really quickly. I'm looking at my old DMs with him here. He didn't tell me he was having an official visit scheduled until May 29th. So again, for in general, when all these kids are like Chauncey Kennan, who's trending to FSU, had his official visit when I was at the Under Armour camp set is when he told us when he had it set. So like that's how different in time this is of how quickly FSU came on here. And he didn't really visit. Like I don't remember him visiting in the spring. Maybe he did, but again, it's one that has been more behind the scenes work. He did reveal in the interview that Coach Norvell had gone to see him. So that helped a lot. And that played a big part in getting him to campus this past weekend. And I mean, this past weekend already, as we're recording this, there's already been 3 commits between Tank, LaValle, and now Tico. He also goes by Taco, I think. At least he was wearing a hat that said Taco. So Tico, Taco. In general, already really rolling. Defensive line recruitment is rolling too. After what we thought was going to be a rocky start, they've really settled in here. Big Meach, Knighton, all those guys are really working.
Yeah, again, he had this 3 defensive commits for Florida State in the span of, a day or two. Just under 6'4", 285 pounds. And when he was asked this weekend, Matt, where he could play on the defensive line where Florida State envisioned him, you're seeing a lot of interior stuff here on the screen. But they said they can play him anywhere, and that's part of the 3-3-5, is he could even be on the edge and helping set the edge as a large jumbo defensive end type. But this is a versatile player that Florida State just landed, and obviously somebody who was really impressed by spending just a couple of days on campus.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of a theme we've been seeing with defensive linemen so far, is that you're going to want to be able to move them around. And that really appeals to these kids because in the NFL, you want to be versatile like that. Because then if you can play anywhere, it's like when you're going for a job and you can say you can do multiple things on the job, right? They're going to want you more because you're able to do more and you're, 2 for 1, same kind of thing, right? It's just always good when you can do that. And as you said, the 3-3-5 is something that is important in. And also it's just, again, really big for Terrence Knighton and the whole staff to be getting all these guys. And I think a guy like Carrington too, they got yesterday, days have been jumbling up now with everything going on. Yesterday that he said the same thing, that he could do both. So again, it's a trend between all the defensive linemen that they're recruiting. The edge guys you see more doing jack the end, where the defensive line guys are saying you can play all 3 spots at any point in time.
So yeah, you got a Tank and you got a Tico in the last day for Florida State on the defensive line. What have you heard about, Terrence Knighton and defensive line recruiting, Matt? Because this is something that I remember talking to Michael Langston a couple months ago. He was doing a video about love and hate. And he's not usually somebody who throws down with the word hate on things, but he was not pleased where Florida State's defensive line recruiting was. I don't think much of the fan base was. You've seen it on the premium recruiting board. So what's been going on? What kind of bounce back, what kind of momentum has Terrence Knighton built? You just mentioned it, but tell me what the kids are saying or what you've been seeing as you've been covering these visits and recruiting behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, so I think in general it started off with, I think we got off with the wrong foot with Terrence Knighton with all the Cam Brooks stuff when going up the road and all that. And I think and not being able to land them. And I think when it's coming to light a little more as we've seen him work, we've seen him do more stuff, is that maybe Cam Brooks wasn't as high on the board. And now we're actually starting to see these guys who, again, like this was someone who was last second. Tank Carrington was someone who was last second in a weird recruitment, right? He hadn't visited in a few years either. So you're kind of seeing the board come to life more. Maybe it wasn't as public as it really should have been, that what we knew or what we didn't know, I guess is the best way to say it, because it's like we finally get these guys on campus and they're committing right away. They're clearly into Knighton. He's always been a good, charismatic guy. I even saw, I think it was a current player, but I saw someone watching his YouTube highlights on their Instagram story. Like, this is someone that the players clearly connect with, and they get that connection. And even Coach Odell is still in this. Maybe he's not on the trail making the calls every day like he used to have to, but he's still, when they get on campus, he is a big deal in recruiting these guys, and maybe being able to tag team it between him and then Meach, former offensive lineman at FSU, who's now gone over to a GA role on staff on the defensive line, cross-training a little bit there, is been really good too in getting these guys in essentials. So maybe having a guy like that who played for FSU recently helps too. I think the biggest thing was we didn't really know the board, and it's starting to show a little bit.
That makes sense. Obviously, too, Florida State has clearly been naming the right price from an NIL standpoint for these guys, because it moves quickly. It's not something where kids are deciding going back home and taking weeks on end, or saying, well, I'm gonna decide on July 15th. You know, there are a couple of things where kids get on campus, they like what they hear, and we know what it's about. It's about fit and scheme, but it's also about NIL. So whatever the presentations have been, they've been impressive. Before we sign off on this particular video, a housekeeping note. You know, I was in school a little over 15 years ago. Matt was in school at Florida State a little over 15 minutes ago. And just if you're a student out there right now, warchant.com is free for you. You've got enough bills as it is right now, got enough responsibilities. Let's make it easy on you. If you are a student at Florida State University, you can join warchant.com for absolutely free. And you can see it on the screen right now on Warchant TV. No credit card is required. $0, no credit card, no information other than we need your fsu.edu email address. So you can either use the QR code that's on the screen or simply email support@warchant.com from your Florida State email account, and we will get you set up for free at warchant.com. Welcome to the Seminole Nation in terms of the fan base, and welcome to Florida State. Now, Matt, before we sign off tonight, I do want to ask you about the quarterback position, because Florida State has a high-profile quarterback on campus, and they kind of need this one because of the way the quarterback board has the dominoes have fallen on the board, or off the board, I should say, the last couple of weeks. Jaden O'Neal, Oklahoma commit, is on campus. What's the latest you're hearing on Tuesday night about that visit?
He's still on campus right now. Last I heard, he's at dinner as we're recording this. I was texting with him a little bit last night, and he told me it was going well. He told me he was having a good time, and that the biggest thing that was really standing out to him was the consistency of the messaging from the coaches. So that's really all we know right now. I think it's going well. I'm trying to figure out how to get up with him. I think he's leaving really early tomorrow, so it might be a 4:30, 5 a.m. airport trip for me tomorrow morning, but hey, it's worth it for a quarterback and the amount of clicks that gets and how everyone loves talking about it.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, because the board really is Jaden O'Neal right now and nobody else.
Jaden O'Neal's the only quarterback that's really shown him the light of day. That, in my opinion, this needs to be a two-way street. They need to have interest in you as much as you have interest in them. Landon Duckworth didn't visit in the spring and hasn't visited in 2 years. It's clear he doesn't have interest when he's still visiting South Carolina and other places that are farther away from home. So I think it's just needs to be an all-out push right now. And from what I've seen and on social media from him, I think they're doing that, and I really feel good right now about it. But we'll see when we get to interview and talk to him.
This is why you stay tuned to warchant.com, Warchant TV. Hit the like button underneath the video for the good news. Florida State, as Matt said, it's a blue chipper, everybody. Stop those complaints. Florida State lands a 4-star defensive lineman. I kid. I'm concerned about this as much as you all are out there, but it's a good day for the Noles. Tico Crittendon is now a part of the 2026 class after today's commitment. Matt, appreciate the time as always.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you everybody next time right here on Warchant TV.